After watching last night's national championship game, I kept thinking, number one, Fernando Mendoza, iconic run, legendary season. Curt Cignetti, greatest coach in college football, greatest turnaround in college football history, legendary. I also kept thinking, this is amazing for the sport and the health of college football. So much has been discussed around CFB of, oh, the transfer portal's too wild. Oh, NIL is so unstructured. And I agree that the current environment of NIL regulations and legislation in general surrounding college football is unhealthy and unsustainable, largely because there is no league office in college football. You have conference commissioners, aka conference offices, like the SEC in Alabama, like the Big Ten in Chicago, and obviously you have the ACC and the Big 12, Big 12 in Dallas, ACC is in Charlotte, I want to say. Like, those are your league offices in college football. But there's not one uniform league office, and therefore those conferences are just going to be sticking up for themselves. Like, the SEC wants what's best for the SEC. Notre Dame wants what's best for Notre Dame. The Big 12 wants what's best for the Big 12. The ACC apparently didn't want to put Miami in the ACC title game. That was wild. That was wild at the time, and obviously proved to be extremely wild. Watching the postseason, but my point is there's a lot of mumbo jumbo around, like, oh man, yeah, isn't it just so stupid that this quarterback's making $5 million, or how crazy is it that Texas Tech's just openly handing out bags of cash and plucking NC State's best receiver, and A&M's doing the same, and Mississippi State's losing their best receiver to A&M. Like, you know, and I agree, especially with the Darian Mensah stuff, the Damon Williams stuff. Some of it's it is ugly. Like, it's ugly. The kids aren't really experienced, or I don't want to say intelligent enough. They're not experienced enough to understand the real world, and therefore you have Damon Williams trying to back out of a $4 million NIL deal, which was completely illegal. You have Darian Mensah figuring out a way to get Miami to buy him out of his NIL deal at Duke, to buy him. It is completely corrupt. I am in agreement on that. But when you turn on the game on the field, it's basically never been better, and it's never been more wide open, because Indiana football just won the national championship. They only won 3 bowl games in the history of their program until this year. They only won 2 conference titles in the history of their program dating back to the 1800s until this year. They won 3 games 3 seasons ago. Curt Cignetti got there overnight, took them to the playoffs. Second year, won them a national championship. Fernando Mendoza. The last Big Ten Heisman winning QB was Troy Smith in 2006. Before that, it was like the 1940s, okay? Wins the Heisman. Like, who would have thought it, even before this season, like, everyone was like, yeah, Fernando Mendoza was really good. Cal should have beaten Miami and Cam Ward last year. He's a good player. But no one was saying, yeah, he's going to win the Heisman and they're going to go 16-0. That would have been, like, as Sig said, it'd be a hell of a movie. Dude, no one would even believe this movie if you wrote it. And people would be like, yeah, that's too unrealistic, whatever, cut the grease. Now, I will say, with the current NIL structure and importantly, transfer portal structure, being able to buy kids who are older and developed, which is totally Indiana's magic method, by buying Fernando, who's 22, buying Josh Hoover, who will be 22 next season, bring him over from TCU when he's Indiana's starting QB next year, he'll be 22. So it's not as if Sig's doing this with high school recruits who suddenly became great players at 19 years old. Quite the opposite. He's doing it by poaching other developed good players. That being said, it's still an incredible turnaround. And my point by saying that is that, dude, if you're a program out there that has the NIL resources that Indiana does, and a lot of them do, you can win the national championship next year. College football is officially a year-by-year sport. There is no doubt about that. It's not get amazing recruiting classes, develop them, and 3 years from now, watch the fruits of your labor unfold, and you suddenly have a bunch of great juniors and seniors. It's not really how it works anymore. Obviously, recruiting high school players, I think, is still the backbone of most of these major programs. Dan Lanning has commented on that. It's still the backbone of most programs, but it's pretty clear based on what Indiana's done and based on what really everyone's done the last 5 years that recruiting juniors and seniors to play for you who are already physically developed, they're 21 and 22, that's going to win you a title faster than developing 3 years of high school recruits, especially at the quarterback position. You saw the massive difference in experience between Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore in the Peach Bowl in the semifinal. Look at the last quarterback standing, right? Trinidad, Carson Beck, fifth-year senior, sixth-year senior, Mendoza, 22-year-old. And then you had Dante Moore, who's 20, and the moment was way too big for him. But the other three quarterbacks who were much more experienced all played very, very well. And so I think that's a big thing. Like, if you can recruit an experienced QB, and, Cignetti's an amazing coach. He's different. He's the best coach in the sport right now. So you have to acknowledge that. But, like, if you're Oregon, for example, I mean, hell, think about if you're Texas, LSU, or Michigan this year. You put a ton of money, and Clemson, ton of money into your programs. You didn't even make the playoff. So it's not as if money solves everything. You need the coach. You need the infrastructure. You need the buy-in from the top. You obviously need the environment and culture within your team. No doubt about all of that. But you you have a chance, and Indiana's proven that. So if you're Oregon next year, like, you may consider playing Raiola or going out, and it's too late now, but trying your best to get a more experienced, better quarterback than Dante Moore. If you are Texas, you got a really good one in Arch, who's continuing to get more and more experience. If you're LSU, obviously they got Sam Levitt. That's the perfect method by a player who's already developed. So that is kind of the method. And with Indiana winning the title, man, anything's possible. Like, if you're Penn State, you probably feel like you can win the title next year. If you're Oregon, certainly can. LSU certainly can. I mean, think about how toxic it got at LSU this year, right? Brian Kelly, midseason firing. It was ugly. And then he turns around, or LSU turns around. They have Sam Levitt. They have Lane Kiffin. Add some more portal recruits. Add a good recruiting class. Dude, they might be cooking next year. I mean, they'll probably be preseason top 10, maybe even top 5 with how great Levitt is and how great Lane is. We'll see what they bring back from that defense. But and then I'll also say, Nick Saban brought up the point. The rules in college football favor the Big Ten. That's a Nick Saban quote. The rules in college football favor the Big Ten. And I want to hit on that here because the Big Ten has won 3 straight national championships.